Let us remember that there is no religion whose central tenet is hate, and it will be the purpose of the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships that I'm announcing later today. The goal of this office will not be to favor one religious group over another, or even religious groups over secular groups. It will simply be to work on behalf of those organizations that want to work on behalf of our communities, and to do so without blurring the line that our founders wisely drew between church and state. This work is important because whether it's a secular group advising families facing foreclosure or faith-based groups providing job training to those who need work, few are closer to what's happening on our streets and in our neighborhoods than these organizations. People trust them, communities rely on them, and we will help them. We will also reach out to leaders and scholars around the world to foster a more productive and peaceful dialogue on.
These are all programs where a faith-based or community group has dedicated their lives to solve a problem. And it makes sense for the federal government to give these programs a chance to access taxpayers' money. When we began the work, we didn't settle for just opening an office in the White House. We opened 11 offices for faith-based and community initiatives throughout the federal government. It's one thing for the White House to have an office, but most of the money, or all the money for that matter, is appropriated to different cabinet officers and their secretariats, and then those distribute the money. And so we wanted to make sure that this faith-based initiative was rooted throughout the government. Addiction is hard to overcome. As you might remember, I drank too much at one time in my life. I understand faith-based programs. I understand that sometimes you can find the inspiration from a higher power to solve an addiction problem. This program helps along these folks have been dealing with addiction.
I have met with faith-based leaders all across the world. Had the privilege, obviously, of running for President of the United States, met with many members of our faith-based community here in our country. And I have met with people of all religions and of all life philosophies and belief systems. And that experience has only reaffirmed my belief that there is much more that unites us and should unite us than divides us. Gandhi called the world's religions beautiful flowers from the same garden. And I had the privilege of giving an address at Yale University a number of years ago to a gathering of evangelicals from around America and imams, muftis, ayatollahs, clerics from the Muslim world. An improbable gathering, you might think, at first blush. And for 3 days, people worked and struggled with the effort to find the common ground.
Americans know that Israel and the United States share common values, that we defend common interests, that we face common enemies. Iran's leaders know that too. You know, for them, you're the great Satan, we're the little Satan. For them, we are you and you are us. And you know something, Mr. President? At least on this last point, I think they're right. We are you and you are us. We're together. So if there's one thing that stands out clearly in the Middle East today, it's that Israel and America stand together. I think that above and beyond that are two principles, long-standing principles of American policy that you reiterated yesterday in your speech, that Israel must have the ability always to defend itself by itself against any threat, and that when it comes to Israel's security, Israel has the right, the sovereign right to make its own decisions. I believe that's why you appreciate, Mr. President, that Israel must reserve the right to defend itself. And after all, that's the very purpose of the Jewish state. to restore to the Jewish people
assistant to Rumsfeld. I can't call his name. Who? No, not Pearl. Don't know it because the media is bought and paid for.
Surgical anesthetic.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press.
Go to CNN.com.
You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world.
That works out to less than 50 cents a
It's a
roll.
damn shame. That's why the children
So come in.
are occupying space in New York, in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in San Francisco, and other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took you 2 weeks because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media. You all know it, but you're afraid to say it. But God put it on Farrakhan to say it for you. And maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media, a real free fourth estate. But right now, you ain't even worth the time of day.
Local news headlines, traffic and weather up next on WVON.
I'm glad. Hell, I'm not hiding nothing. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need somebody that's not afraid to die for the truth that you could be made free. Because you're not free. And you don't really know what it means to really be a free white person, a free black person, a free Mexican, a free Arab. If you're afraid to tell the truth, what future does your children have in a society where truth is brushed to the curb? I thank God for the young man that invented this wonderful technology.
Steve Jobs, yeah.
Steve Jobs. That's the man that's freeing the whole planet, where Zbigniew Brzezinski could say, yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up.
Dear human brothers and sisters, actually, broadly speaking, entire 7 billion human beings are actually brothers and sisters. Particularly now, today's reality, not only on an individual, but even nation to nation, heavily interdependent. So that moment, according to that reality, our century-old concept, we and they, and me and they, I think outdated. We must think entire globe, just one human family. Time come, think forgiveness. So forgiveness, just one moment, not that. But once we realize our wrong views, wrong dreams, and then to create problem to others, so we must feel some kind of forgiveness, and then future. Now we must minimize all this destructive emotion. destructive action. Not only you see physical levels of the violence, but also here mentally, a lot of greed, a lot of jealousy, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. These are actually through our enemy to destroy our inner peace and eventually destroy our physical health. So therefore, now this is the moment. Please reflect on this reality and then try to become more sensible human being. So this organization, you see, starts some, I think, very, very important sort of movement, moment of calm. I think wonderful. Certainly, the August 2nd, 2 p.m., I will be in Ladakh, more high altitude and dry, at least now, in this moment here, too much wet. So they are very dry. So I will practice this. So all my brothers, sisters, please think this seriously.
Mm-hmm.